back on February the 23rd at about 4 p.m. in West Houston at the McDonald's in West Houston, I think 9601 Westheimer. Mr. Clifton Zeno III, whose portrait is right here before me, was fatally shot while just being in line at McDonald's. I saw some of the family members last week appearing on television wanting this person to be found who killed Clifton Zeno III. And this press conference is here today to announce that that person has been found and that person is no longer with us. And I'm going to allow Chief Slinker to talk further about that. But today we have before us the family of Clifton Zeno III. We have his father, Clifton Zeno Jr., his mom, Nera Zeno. We have two of his sisters who are here in person, Christina and Sandra. Believe Teresa is not in town, but maybe on the phone with us. We have the mother of his 7 children, Monique Zeno, is present, and along with some of her kids, Alexis Zeno IV, Sahara, Simone, Chastity, and then I believe we have about 3 nieces who are also with us. As you can see, this is a loving family. It's a big family. But we certainly heard their pleas last week. In fact, they even put up a reward for evidence leading to the person who committed this crime. And that person has been found, and this investigation still continues for anybody else who may have been with that person or have information and did not come forth. Look, we are committed to solving these crimes. People who are senselessly were committing crimes within our city, and this one absolutely made no sense. Person in the line at a McDonald's, and for whatever reason pulls out a gun and takes the life of someone else. So the commitment that we're making here in this city is that we will expend all necessary resources, manpower, you name it, to find people who commit crimes. We're still looking for many others who are committing these crimes, and in due time we will find you as well. But we certainly wanted to bring closure to this family and to continue to offer them our prayers and our condolences. So let me yield at this moment to Chief Slinkert to further elaborate on the investigation.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. And on behalf of Chief Fenner, who could not be with us today, he's handling other city business at the moment, but he's been fully briefed and he's with us obviously in heart and spirit as we share this time with this family, with this grieving family, this wonderful family. And so I'm here to give you, as the mayor said, an update on this case. And another case, and how the two are related. But Mayor, we thank you for your continued support, our mission to combat violent crime in the city of Houston, yourself and your council colleagues. And you know, we've been up here many times, and we'll continue to come up here and let our community know that we're laser focused on doing everything we can to combat violent crime and to bring justice and case resolution to those families, right, that are hurting. And we will continue our efforts to do that. And we continue to pray for these families, including the Zeno family. I'm very proud of the work that our detectives do each and every day to try to solve these violent crimes, and some of our detectives are here today, and they've worked tirelessly on this case. And just since the beginning of February, since we announced some of our initiatives, and of course the mayor's push on One Safe Houston, our targeted approach has led to the arrest of multiple violent offenders, including 11 murder suspects just since the beginning of February. But the case that we're here to discuss today involves, as the mayor said, the murder that occurred at the restaurant. Our homicide detectives received information that indicated possibly that an 18-year-old male named Alberto Riascos was possibly the suspect in the murder of Mr. Zeno. Our detectives did a great deal of research and learned that Riascos was also wanted on a felony warrant out of Harris County for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Now, you may remember that last Wednesday night, just this past Wednesday night on March 2nd, I gave a media briefing on the scene of an officer-involved shooting. We had task force and crime suppression officers looking for the suspect in the murder of Mr. Zeno, and we located that suspect, Riascos, walking back to his apartment at 2501 Lazy Hollow Drive, which is not far from the restaurant where Mr. Zeno was murdered. When our officers went to take Riascos into custody last Wednesday evening at about 6 p.m., he pulled out a pistol and fired a shot. One of our sergeants discharged his weapon and fatally struck Riascos. You will recall I gave those details on Wednesday night. The suspect's gun was recovered at the scene, the weapon that Riascos had that he fired at our HPD sergeant. Now, during the ongoing investigation, we recovered ballistics evidence from the suspect's gun on our officer-involved shooting on Lazy Hollow Drive last Wednesday night, and technicians at the Houston Forensic Science Center have been able to match those ballistics to the crime scene where Mr. Zeno was murdered. In essence, the gun that was in the custody of Riascos, who was involved in our officer-involved shooting, who died at the scene at Lazy Hollow, the gun there with him on the scene in his possession, the ballistics from that weapon matched the ballistics recovered from the murder scene of Mr. Zeno. In addition, detectives have located a photograph of the suspect in similar clothing to the suspect in the video shooting of Mr. Zeno. Based on evidence gathered thus far, our investigators are confident that the suspect who murdered Mr. Zeno is Alberto Riascos, 18-year-old male. The investigation regarding the officer-involved shooting where Riascos succumbed to his injuries is still under investigation, and body camera footage, as I said last Wednesday night, will be released in accordance with our policy at a later date, but within our 30-day policy timeline. It's important for us to just reiterate that the Houston Police Department, obviously with the support of the mayor and city council, we are going to continue to work tirelessly day and night to fight violent crime and also bring closure to families like Mr. Zeno's family and to this wonderful family who I've had the opportunity to spend a little bit of time with here just this afternoon. Our prayers are continually with you for this tragic loss. Any loss of life is tragic, and we definitely wanted to work hard to bring this case to closure. Last Wednesday night, it became evident that the suspect in that officer-involved shooting, as we continued to investigate, might be the suspect from the murder of Mr. Zeno, but it took several more days for us to confirm that through ballistics evidence. And so now you're up to speed on where we are in the case. As the mayor mentioned, there are still a few more details for our detectives to cover, a few more interviews that our detectives would like to take place and be involved in. So while we believe that we have what we need to bring this murder case to closure, and we believe we have that suspect positively identified, there is still some case follow-up work for our detectives to do. With that, I'll yield back to you, Mr. Mayor, for anything the family might want to say.
Thank you, Chief. And I think Mr. Zeno, the father, the second junior, might want to just say just a few words.
Well,
hey, come on.
I just wanted to say that I really appreciate the hard work that the police department has done to bring this case to closure, and the family appreciate all the prayers and that you all have done and to help the family in this grieving time. And that's I don't have much to say. That's, I'm a little nervous, but I just wanted to, I felt like I needed to say something, and that's basically all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zeno. Just before we take questions, if there are any questions, look, this shooting was senseless. We have zero policy tolerance on these type of matters, and we'll do everything we can to find people who are committing these crimes, to bring them to justice. That's the main thing. It may take a little while, but we will find you. But these type of shootings makes absolutely no sense, none whatsoever. Any questions to Chief Slinker?
I was wondering if the chief could clarify. So you guys were already, prior to Wednesday, you had already developed Riascos as a suspect, and when you went after him at the Briar Hollow, or tried to apprehend him, it was with this case in mind, right?
It was. So homicide, thank you for your question. Homicide detectives definitely had developed through information that we won't cover as part of this press conference because the investigation is going on. They had developed the name of Alberto Riascos for a possible suspect in the tragic murder of Mr. Zeno. In researching that suspect, they also found out that he had an aggravated assault deadly weapon warrant out for his arrest, and I don't have the details of that case before me here today, but there was a warrant out as well. So 2 reasons to get Mr. Riascos into custody. 1, on the outstanding aggravated assault deadly weapon warrant, and 2, so that homicide detectives could talk to him about this case. That's when our task force, as I mentioned Wednesday night on the scene, our violent crime task force working in collaboration with several other agencies, as the mayor has talked about before, and Chief Fenner many times working in concert with other agencies, they had Mr. Riascos under surveillance. At the time that he left the apartment and was on foot, and they felt it was a good time to approach him and take him into custody, is when the officer-involved shooting occurred. Then some additional follow-up information needed to be, and evidence needed to be looked at to see if Riascos actually was the suspect from the murder of Mr. Zeno.
And the gun you pointed at officers?
The gun that he pointed and fired at the sergeant, the ballistics from that weapon from Wednesday night at the scene of the officer-involved shooting matches the ballistics from the murder weapon in the McDonald's shooting and the killing of Mr. Zeno.
Condolences to the family. Thank you. First off, following up on the gun, Chief, with regards to that gun, because we've heard so much about gun switches and they're being tricked out. What kind of gun was it, or was there any kind of modification?
So I'm not going to go into specifics right now about caliber and about type of gun, but I can tell you that it does not appear that there was any switch or modification that we know of right now.
Understood. And with regards to this particular suspect, in the history, you indicated he was out for a warrant, but in these kind of situations, these guns can get passed around. It could be burner guns out there in the community, it could be gangs. Have you been able to trace this gun back?
No, still part of our investigation. So that will be ongoing, right? Additional evidence regarding the gun, where it came from, who it's been in possession of, if it's involved in any other additional crimes or links any other additional crimes. So all part of the continuing investigation, but as of now, we know it's a link to this crime.
When it comes to the suspect, any gang affiliation, he's only 18. He obviously had a record with this aggravated assault case, but anything else related to the
So
suspect?
too early on us doing some more follow-up on his background to go into any gang affiliations or things like that, but our detectives will be doing that in the coming days. Obviously, in the interest of transparency and in the interest of giving a much-needed update to a grieving family, what we have at this point in our investigation, the mayor, the chief, myself, all felt that it was necessary for this family and for our media partners to get an update on how these 2 critical incidents over the last couple of weeks are now linked.
You said there were 2 cases, or are you saying these are the 2 cases?
These are the 2 cases, meaning the murder of Mr. Zeno and then our officer-involved shooting on Lazy Hollow Drive.
Separate from this, and the mayor, if you can please weigh in as well, after Chief Slinker, have you been able to identify where this, how he came into possession of this gun? Because we've heard so much about guns being stolen out of vehicles, being stolen from other places. And if you could speak to the vehicle component of it.
Yeah. So that I don't know. I don't know about how he came into possession of the firearm. All that again will be part of our continuing investigation. And to your question about guns and vehicles, yeah, we continue to give reminders. I'm not saying that's part of this case, but since you asked the question, we have too many firearms stolen from vehicles in the city of Houston. We've been very clear about that. We've talked about that. We've talked about being responsible gun owners and locking up your firearms in a safe and secure manner. And simply storing in a vehicle is not a safe and secure manner in and of itself, and there are too many guns stolen from vehicles that ultimately can end up being crime guns, and so it's something that we all need to be aware of, and we all need to do our part.
And to the family, I see, for example, our viewers a better idea of who Mr. Zeno was?
I'll leave it up. Anyone? No pressure, but, well, Cynthia?
I'm an open-ended question.
That's okay.
If you-
You give your name.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Christina Jones. Clifton Zeno was my brother. My only brother. He was the middle child of 5. Our fondest memories that we have of him, and I think I speak as, speak for everyone. He was a prankster. He joked a lot. He loved cooking for everyone. He loved to barbecue, and above everything else, he was big on making memories with his family. That was his big thing. If he could make a memory today with you, that's what he wanted to do. So that's what I remember, and that's what we all remember about my brother.
Why don't you give me the picture with the hat? Where's the picture with the hat?
You have that?
Who did I give the pictures back? This is, no, I gave it back. Because I used this picture here, which is one of the pictures.
Oh, she had it.
Yeah, this is Clifton with the hat. Yeah, you can see he's a character, So this is what that person. This is the person who's lost his life because of some craziness. Okay, and unfortunately, too many people like Clifton are losing their lives because of craziness. In direct response to your question, Mario, that's why even as a part of our One Safe Houston strategy is focusing on technology, utilizing technology more. This person fired at police officers. The gun that he used, through technology, we were able to tie back to the murder of Clifton Zeno III. And so that's why we want to beef up even more technology to trace these guns, to see whether or not this gun was used in other crimes. Okay, so technology plays a huge important role, but just good old-fashioned police work. So I want to thank the detectives and the police officers, because even with technology, without that good old-fashioned police work, staking out, following through, we wouldn't even be at this point. So I want to thank the detectives and the members of HPD, and we want to bring closure to a lot of other families as well. Still thinking of Ashante Grant, the 9-year-old, $30,000 warrant out on the person who shot in that road rage incident. So I want to remember her family and still lift her up as well. So the point is, we're going to do everything we can to, number one, to try to prevent these type of crimes from taking place. That's number one. And number two, when they do occur, to try to bring closure to this family. But there is no way we can bring Clifton back, so we continue to pray for them and lift them up.
Mayor, if you don't mind, you were going to touch on the point with regards to guns as well coming out of vehicles, but the chief's mentioned.
Yeah, last year alone, I believe there were approximately about 3,800 guns that were stolen from vehicles. So it's important for people to really lock their guns away. And many of these guns that are stolen are used in crimes where other lives are being taken. So there are way too many guns that are on the street and many thousands that are stolen. I think up to this point in time, I think in the last report, there were close to 500 guns that we'd already confiscated just this year alone. So and last year there were well over 6,000 guns that were confiscated. So way too many guns, and here you got an 18-year-old with a gun in a restaurant and just used it for no apparent reason. And then, of course, we got people out on the street with warrants that we're working diligently to get off the street before they commit other crimes. Okay.
Lincoln, if you don't mind.
Sure.
One quick question off of this, because the mayor's made such a big point of this in the past, and the importance of this, and intriguing if this was a case of this, without devaluing the work that you guys did and doing incredible work, but by any chance, because Mayor, you've asked for this in the past, was this through a community tip? Did someone from the community provide a tip that helped solve this?
So tips are involved in this case, but it's too early for me to give you details on that and where we are. But we will update our media partners when we can. We want to give our detectives the necessary room they need to investigate the case properly and bring anybody else to justice that may or be involved or have information. And so it's just too early for me to give you that information, and so I want to respect the confidentiality of the case. But aside from that, taking it away from this case right now, you're correct, and the mayor is correct and has said many times, it takes everybody. The detectives cannot do it alone. All of our community members out there, they are the biggest force multiplier for us in trying to keep a community safe. And the information that a community brings forward pays major dividends in us trying to help the community and have a safe environment for everybody. And so cannot stress that enough, how important it is, that community partnership and community members being willing to come forward and speak to us about crime. And the mayor has even gone as far to say, and I agree with him, that we have a responsibility. We have a responsibility as community members and as citizens to do our part to help make our entire community safe. You had a question?
I was just going to ask you, did you clarify what the initial motive was? Was it just some sort of argument at the restaurant or something minor?
Unfortunately and tragically, I don't know that I can give you one. And that speaks, as the mayor said, to the senselessness of this. What motive? You're simply in line and then for whatever reason end up committing this unspeakable, right, murder. And I don't think there is a motive, at least not one that would give any of us any solace or understanding, and that's another tragedy of this incident. And so, no, aside from a disagreement, an argument, a conversation, other than that, we have no other motive to give you.
They were literally just standing in line and
In essence, that's where we are right now, yes.
and you guys haven't figured, I mean, like, why would anybody shoot anybody while waiting in line? Like, is that sort of the challenge here?
Well, that's kind of what I'm speaking to, and that's what the mayor's speaking to, is, we're trying to put rational thought as members of this community, right, and members of this department and this family. We are trying to put rational thought into acts that are seemingly just 100% irrational in every way, and that's very difficult. And so I don't know that we'll ever have a motive that we can say would satisfy, right, that question for any of us. It's senseless and tragic. But when it happens, we are going to investigate. We're going to investigate thoroughly, and we're going to do everything we can to bring those to justice that would commit those senseless acts. Anything? I don't know if you want to add to that, Mayor, or anything.
Well, it's just evil, you know, and that's how I define it. It's EVIL. It's evil. It's a lack of respect of human life, a lack of respect for. If you don't value your own life, you're not going to value anybody else's life. And apparently, in this case, he didn't value his own life because he started firing at police officers and lost his. But that happened after taking an innocent person's life. I simply call it evil, too much evil. But be that as it may, we will confront evil and we'll do our very best to get it off the street. Okay? Thank you all so very much. Thank you. Continue to pray and uplift this family.
Yeah, and if we could do, if anybody needs Spanish, I've got Commander Garcia
yes.
that can give Spanish as we allow the family to kind of gather and maybe exit. Commander Garcia can give updates in Spanish.
Real quick, can they share, if you guys like, to share more pictures that we can shoot real quick?
Okay, I leave that thing. Cynthia, have them. This is one.
And let me address something on the picture as well, Mayor.
Yeah.
And to our media partners, today is about honoring and sharing and showcasing this beautiful family and this beautiful soul.